Welcome to the stream, people. Link time, baby. You know what time it is. Talking to MaidenMonster tonight about her experience leaving a cult at the age of 26 that she was born into. So I'm going to call her up right now. You're not going to hear her yet. Hello. Hold on, I'm gonna mute my... Alright, she's gonna switch over to her computer, and we're gonna get this ball rolling, baby. Yes, I can hear you. Hold on. Make this... Okay, they can hear you now. Do you want to talk to me without them hearing you for a second?
I don't think I need to. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Alright, hold on. Okay. So I'm gonna pop you up. Alright, this is MaidenMonster.
Hi.
Is that...
I'm so excited to be doing this.
Oh yeah? Is that the name that you usually go by, MaidenMonster, or is that just your Discord?
That's my Discord name. That's a great way for you to introduce me. I'm connected to Brittany's bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And so people there know me as MaidenMonster, but my sex work name is Harmony. So in some of my other live streams, I go by Harmony as well. But yeah, MaidenMonster is great. I love that. I love it.
Do you want to do any more introducing of yourself?
I mean, I think that's the basic, why I'm here. I'm kind of in Brittany's community and starting to do more stuff with her online, and then hopefully at some point I'll do my own either content or live streaming. I don't know. That's kind of up in the air yet. I like to have conversations with people in this circle, and actually your content I really like. And it actually had a question for you really quick. I know we had a topic that we want to talk about, but I've been watching some of your live streams, and I think it was when you were talking to, his name Xerxes?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you were talking about makeup and stuff. So usually when I do live streams, I always wear makeup. Oh. And I was like, Smith was talking about how it makes him uncomfortable. So I'm not going to. And then I was like, I wonder what he would think about that. Am I being more authentic since I'm choosing not to wear makeup for your comfort?
Well,
you know what I mean?
It doesn't make me so uncomfortable that women do it, but it actually makes me more uncomfortable that you're not wearing makeup now.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering.
Because I didn't want you to, but it's not that I don't want you to wear makeup. It's that The thing is, I genuinely like. I don't think like all these red pillars and stuff, and the people on different sides. They all say this retarded stuff, where they're saying, "Oh, if I think when women that wear makeup are ugly," or they'll say, or women are ugly without makeup. I think that women look attractive with makeup on, but my feeling is like if I'm dating somebody and I'm attracted to them when they're wearing makeup, I'm like, that doesn't mean anything. That my relationship, my attraction to you can't be based on that. That's so shallow. I don't
Right.
want that to be part of my attraction to you. So it feels like a bad. I wouldn't want to be. I've been because I used to be a femboy, and I've been in relationships where I had to put on the airs and stuff, just to, and that was like a foundational
That's so
part
interesting.
of the relation. I don't want to have to like shave every part of my body every day so that someone
Yeah.
will think I'm attractive. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, it just made me think, it's like, oh, I wonder what he would think about that. But it's also good for me because I like the idea of authenticity, although I also question how capable we are of that, in online spaces, Um, but I also, yeah, especially as like my sex worker persona, Harmony, I have an image that I curate, so it's a whole other topic. But
Sure.
yeah,
I
so
don't
I
I don't really
actually,
even know anything about that. You
yeah.
gave me like a slew of things that we could talk about, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are like very personal. So
Hmm.
you're really like also another thought that has me sort of uncomfortable. I'm sort of feeling like I have to like be careful because like you really offered me like a sampling platter of things that are like like very personal, and like you're basically like telling me like use and exploit me basically. It's like how I feel like
I'm used to that, right? In a way.
yeah.
Maybe I'm comfortable in that position. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But talking about personal things is very compelling and interesting stuff.
Mhm.
But also, it's for us, it can be a weird place. Because what the thing I think is particularly interesting is that you said that you were born into a cult and you left it at age 26,
Mhm.
and then you had a drug addiction that you're now clean 3.5 years.
Mhm. Yep.
It can't be unrelated, right?
No. Yeah, it's all connected. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that
And being a sex worker, I'm sure as well. Yeah.
yes, that's
Mhm.
okay. Yes, I didn't want to say that one, but like because you're still currently a sex worker, but
Mhm.
I feel like yeah, that's why I titled my stream "Leaving a Cult and After Effects"
Okay.
because I wanted to talk to you
Yeah.
about the experience of being in a cult and then how that's still impacting because things like that we live with, they're part of us, especially being
Mhm.
born into it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, yeah,
but that's a big
big.
heavy topic that's putting a lot of
Mhm.
responsibility on you, like I'm like asking you to be very emotionally forthcoming and vulnerable.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a pretty open person. I've learned over the years, mm, maybe to be a little bit more guarded, like as a matter of, I don't know, protection, maybe a little bit.
Hmm.
But, as part of my experience in the cult was I come from a really large family, and the teachings in the cult specifically taught like fathers not to get too close to their children, especially their daughters, because it's inappropriate for a lot of reasons. Um, so
Mm.
I have like a neglect wound, I guess you could say. So like part of that is like being like overly open, so I'm very comfortable with it, but I'm also cognizant of it at this point. I'm 38 now, so it's been 12 years since I've left, and I'm still picking it all apart and figuring it all out, but I have a better grasp on it now, and I think that I'm not, the wound isn't quite so raw, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I'm happy to be as open as
Well, be
I
careful.
feel is appropriate,
Be
and to put boundaries up when I feel like I don't
yes,
want to
be
go there.
comfortable doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what was it like? So what was this cult like, and what was it like growing up in it?
Okay, so it was an ecumenical covenant Christian community. I don't know if you have heard of the Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She was a member of a cult called the People of Praise, and the cult that I was raised in, the Sword of the Spirit, was under the same umbrella as the People of Praise, kind of like a sister organization to that one. So that just gives like context, I guess, for which cult, what kind of a cult it was. So ecumenical means lots of different Christian denominations, from Greek Orthodox to, Protestant, Reformed,
Is Greek
Pentecostal,
is Greek
yeah, all
Orthodox
kinds of
considered a
Protestant
cult?
people. What's that?
Is Greek Orthodox considered a cult?
That's it's like a Christian denomination. I
Okay,
guess, I mean, the argument could be made that any Christian denomination is a cult.
sure. I was just
Yeah.
asking because I'm Greek. I've never gone to a Greek
Oh,
Orthodox
okay.
church, but they have those golden domes,
Icon. Oh,
and
yeah.
I've always thought like a secret code I could do if I like end up like I have like all these like ideas in the back of my head if I ended up homeless or something, but I could go to like a Greek church and not because I'm Greek, maybe they would like help me out or whatever. But then I'm hearing that like Greek churches are particularly expensive to like participate in. You have to be a member of the community, you have to be paying like all this money. So like had this thought like, oh, like it's almost like I'm Jewish because if you're Jewish, you could go to a temple and then you have like people a support group. But no, these Jews probably have to pay the temple, and I'm Greek, but I would have to pay the Greek church too. So it really wouldn't be as easy to access as you would think.
That's wild. I didn't know you were Greek. Okay, that's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, my best friend growing up in the cult, actually, she was Greek Orthodox. So for a time, I actually considered converting. That was my rebellion in my high school years. That was my form of
Good food.
rebellion.
Good food. They have good
Yeah,
food
very good
festivals.
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, and dancing. I knew the 12-step dance.
I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
much at all I know is my dad cooked a lot of food, which I have not learned how to cook. And I just like yesterday we had a Zoom call like with the family, and like his side of the family is like they're all like professors and like rocket scientist types and shit. And my dad's kind of
Oh.
like the like underachiever of the family, and
Nice.
and I'm like his only child and stuff. So it's always like very awkward, and it's like
Oh, wow, what an interesting dynamic.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
I just that was on the tip of my tongue. I'm wrestling with these thoughts. I'm ready for my therapist. You look kind of like my therapist.
Oh, well, nice. I'll get my notepad.
Yeah. So anyway, don't let me interrupt you. So, grow.
Yeah, so all kinds of different Christian denominations, probably majority Catholic though, and there were even some different communities, they called them, that were all Catholic. And I was raised Catholic, but also in this ecumenical cult that was charismatic also, which means that they believed in like the power of the Holy Spirit and like it's been so long, I don't remember the official terms, but like being baptized in the Holy Spirit. So like they would be very expressive in their prayer, like singing songs, raising your hands, clapping, like shouting praise out loud. This is like during our prayer meetings, it sounded like. So that's charismatic prayer. It's the worship style. And you get prayed over for like different gifts of the Holy Spirit. Anyway, they believed in like the gifts of the Holy Spirit and the power of the Holy Spirit alive today, like not just in the time of the disciples. So I had that part of my upbringing, and then I had Catholic upbringing, which is like not like that at all. It's very liturgical and yeah. So thinking about Brittany's work here, actually, I'm like, oh, like these different bubbles kind of intersecting in my life. And like, I remember as a little girl, I'd be in Catholic mass, and it's like very routinized, and you have the responses that everyone says and stuff. And I remember thinking like, oh, what would happen if I raised my hands in the middle of Catholic mass? Like, what would people do? Like, anyway, that was my upbringing. Or
That's the cult.
charismatic part of the cult. Yeah. And then covenant meant that in order to join the cult as a full-fledged member, you had to sign a covenant, which is similar to like a marriage contract, basically, saying that you were like a member of this cult. And it was like the way that we were taught was it was as serious as like a marriage, like you're getting married to this. You can't just leave, when you make the choice to stay. And
Was there any?
it was, yeah.
Was there
Yeah,
any
go
like
ahead.
sexual aspects to it because I used to have a friend that was she left a Mormon cult, like a Mormon sect, and
Hmm.
there was I actually have a couple friends that are like that, and I'm thinking I've talked to one on stream, but I wasn't thinking about her. But with the Mormons, like they're the magic underwear thing, like that's a real thing, and like it's
Yeah.
like really weirdly sexual, even despite the
Mm.
fact that they're very sexually like repressed and everything. Like some of these like ceremonies are like weirdly sexual. Is there any of that?
Well, there, yeah, that was I was as I was preparing for this, I was thinking about like the most traumatic aspects of it probably because that's what people like to hear, right? And it's
Yeah.
probably um the yeah, purity culture is the like pop psych term for it. I think purity culture was very damaging. That was probably getting at kind of what you're talking about. The women were kind of taught that we're responsible for the lust of men, basically. And so that, how we acted and dressed and like all of that was like very much on us. And like basically we were responsible for a man's salvation. Um, so yeah, that was very damaging. And then, of course I'm a sex worker. I was like, being in the cult and being in purity culture actually taught me how to be a sex worker, like really super well.
I've
Like
heard that
really
before.
well.
I've heard that
Yeah.
correlation before. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, this like I have all this control over men. You're saying that I'm like in charge of their salvation? Like that is powerful. Like what can I do with that kind of power
Yeah.
in a capitalistic society? You know? Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm.
was just thinking the other day that like that is like an extreme form of kind of an undercurrent in American culture in general. And I think if we wanted to intentionally like raise women to be willing sex slaves, we're doing like a really close job of that right now.
Yeah, there's a reason that sex work felt very comfortable, a very comfortable like home after leaving the cult. Because yeah, I became a sex worker less than 2 years after leaving. So yeah. Hmm. It was a very like familiar bubble. Like to use again Brittany's language, like there's some big overlap. Mm,
Yeah. So
yeah.
why did you leave and how did you leave?
Um, I guess it's really complicated. I don't know if I was actually introspective enough at the time to like know exactly what I was doing or why I was doing it. I also know some things now about my mental health. I was just diagnosed as a level 1 autistic person. So I think that the pressures from the cult um, were causing me to basically the cult gave me a really good mask to wear that I could like get really good at wearing because I knew all the rules for it. I knew exactly how to fit that mask. But at
Mm-hmm.
a certain point it became too much. Like I was even like I was on staff for the cult. I was like doing recruitment at the college level,
When
like
you say
recruiting
that,
other people.
just
Yeah.
so sort of like the audience, you're referring to masking. Like so,
Hmm.
if you're autistic, masking is you learn how like you learn certain ways to be in a social situation,
Yeah.
and it's
To be
like you get comfortable
acceptable.
with it, and so yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So it's almost like even with the diagnosis part of me, I'm like how do I disentangle the autism from the trauma of being raised in the cult with like very stringent expectations for fitting
Yeah.
in? Like I don't know which is which, and I don't know if I actually like have this nervous system I was born with or if
Yeah.
I was given it very early on. I really don't.
I was just looking into some. There's like a really strong correlation between BPD and
Hmm.
autism,
Yeah, that's my
and
therapist says. He
BPD
doesn't. Yeah.
and CPSD are very confused and like and but also like BPD and trauma are just like a 1-to-1 correlation. So it just means,
Yes. Well,
but
the way that I think that I get it, like one way that it could be, I don't know for sure if this is, but like one theory I have about it is that I was born autistic with a specific type of autism, pathological demand avoidance, which is like particularly difficult. Um, and because of the bubble my parents were in and the rules around like what your children were allowed to like, how they were allowed to behave and how that reflected on my parents, they came down very hard on me, especially because my older sister was very like pleasing, people pleasing, like perfect child. So in contrast, it was like I was horrible, and my parents knew it couldn't be them because they had this shining, excellent child as an example, you know.
I'm sure it was hard on her too.
So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So all their wrath came down upon me, which then gave me the personality disorder of BPD,
Oh, so you
which
do
I
have,
never,
I
well,
didn't,
I was never diagnosed with BPD. So I've been on a journey of self-discovery, and that's part of what the autism diagnosis is too. This is, yeah, but I did dialectical behavioral therapy, and my therapist said that I had all the markers of BPD, and they measured all my symptoms in the beginning and the middle and the end of my therapy. And so I had the symptoms, but I was never formally diagnosed with BPD. But
the way
yeah.
that I think about BPD and the way that I think about what you just described of the feeling of being in a cult being the feeling of being a sex worker, those to me are the same, take the same place in my head.
Mm.
Like BPD to me is almost like being forced by, it's like it's such a environmental parents fault kind of thing to me.
Yeah,
um
yeah, it is. Yep.
but you're 38 now, and
Hmm.
that's good to hear for you, because for, I mean, in some ways, because from what I know about BPD, like the symptoms and stuff, like by the age of like 40, most people aren't even diagnosable anymore, and so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Growing up and maturing definitely has helped, I think. Yeah. But I still feel, yeah, sometimes I still feel crazy.
we,
But
we all do,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But we all have
yeah,
BPD sometimes though, right? Like I
right.
think so.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I just think I do struggle. I think, yeah, sometimes it feels like I'll always struggle with this like kind of empty feeling because of leaving the cult and like how just huge it was in my life beforehand, you know?
Hmm.
Even though it came to the point where it was like I can't live like this anymore. I can't live in this box. I can't like pretend anymore. But I still like I was like formed there, you know? And so I feel like it almost feels like I'll always kind of be slightly disfigured because of that, you know?
um Other person I talked to on stream, this was a different conversation because it was a conversation, it was like an intervention, and she wanted it. She actively like asked for this type of interaction, but she wanted to become like a sex worker, and she had that experience of coming out of a cult, and that ended up being a big part of the conversation. um so do you feel, so you said the emptiness, have you
Hmm.
gone to like any other cults? Have you been attracted to any other cults?
Um, I just have like, okay, I it's similar to like addiction to me. Like as an addict, I feel like that cult-like mentality is a very similar pattern and process to addiction. It's like a participatory learning of a lack of agency, as John Vervaeke would say. That's like what addiction is, and that's a similar process that I see happening in cults. Like there's a you're participating in it, and you're like participating in like giving yourself away, I guess, or like
Mm.
that makes it sound too charitable, but like, you know, you're participating in shutting yourself down,
Yeah,
I
well, no,
guess.
giving yourself away doesn't sound charitable to me, but
Okay, okay, good, good. Yeah, you got my meaning then. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Like in the Christian bubble, that's like agape love, you
I hate
know?
that. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be boundaries there.
No,
I don't,
because
yeah.
if somebody
Mhm.
is loving me like in that way by giving themselves away, like that is, I'm like, my eyes start bugging out of my head. I'm like freaked out. Like no, like if you do that, you're destroying the relationship too. Because like I actually care about you too. So like, and, you know, I don't want you
Yes,
to
like you.
self like mutilate for me. I want actually to have a healthy back and forth, and yeah. So
Hmm. Yep.
yeah,
It
and
has to be rooted in like a firm grasp on yourself. I think agape is real, but it's more rare. People often say that that's what they're doing when it's actually really toxic.
yeah, my BPD is very interesting to me because in a lot of stuff, and I actually am really, I used to be very apprehensive about all of the personality type psychology, pathology stuff, but now I love it. And it is the place where because I believe, and I heard another psychologist say this, but I think that a lot of psychology is like a literary field. And it's creating
Mm,
frameworks for us to analyze something that we never can fully like actually pin down, because every time we pin it down, it changes. Um, and
true. It's just a human way of making meaning through narrative.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Mhm.
that's why like a lot of the personality stuff in particular is very, it's the way people talk about it is like lots of like symbols and a lot of like imagery, and in some cultures they will have you read in like Indian culture. There's a lot about Indian culture. There's a lot about Indian culture that I really hate. There's a lot of really some of the philosophical stuff that I really really like, and
Yeah,
in some
same.
Indian
Mhm.
culture they will, if you're diagnosed with a mental illness, they'll tell you to reflect on a certain fable or a certain like myth or story, and I really like that, because learning about some of these narratives about mental health and stuff, the narratives themselves have been helpful to me.
Yeah.
The pathologizing and all that doesn't mean it's actually like a medical diagnosis that makes perfect sense, and especially in
Oh,
the case,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, especially in the case of BPD, because I actually think like medically and like in clinical, BPD is like a million different things and is super unhelpful to use in a clinical way, in my opinion, but in a narrative way it is sounds very helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That like calls to mind the study. I don't remember exactly what study it was that they did, but they were trying to study like learning and bear with me, this is like ADHD train of
Yeah,
thought
it's
thing
happened with
here.
me too.
But, yeah. So like okay, so kids perform better in school when they believe that their learning is not fixed, when they believe that they can get better and that they can expand their knowledge and grow, you know. But what we know to be true, we actually know that our knowledge, our capacity for like IQ is pretty much fixed. But kids do better. They're more able to reach their potential, their full potential, if they believe that it's not fixed.
I don't believe
So
it's
there are
fixed. But
there
that
well
maybe
there
that's
but
why
I
I'm
mean
so smart.
well exactly. So there it is. I mean it's kind of blurry, right? Like we have a I guess a set like range that we can achieve based on
Sure.
I don't know the studies behind it. This is just what I've read, you know. I don't know the details of the study. But I like the analogy I'm trying to draw is that there's sometimes when I for a human it's better for us not to like believe the propositional fact, if that makes sense. It's better it's like can create better outcomes. And I think
Yeah.
narrative is sort of similar to that. Like it helps us map things and like the more we can like participate in it in like an imaginal sort of way, the more we can actually be changed by it. And in order to do that we sort of have to believe it a little bit, you know.
Or believe that we're part of the narrative process too.
Yes, yes, yeah. And I
Um,
think that is like the part that we're like with the meaning crisis right now, that's where we're getting away from. Like we're getting away from that where we want everything to be propositionalized and solidified and these like little factual little things. But like when we live there, we suffer as like the beings who are concerned with being. Anyway, that's a tangent. It's my special interest, so I'm gonna like tangent off there. Anyway, but
so why did you leave the cult?
oh yeah, that was the question. um, so it was like autistic meltdown, basically,
Mhm.
burnout. I was burnt out. I was working for the cult, like they were paying me half-time salary. I was working full time, that kind of thing. I was fulfilling checking off all the boxes of, the arbitrary rules for fitting in, doing all this stuff. And it was just like so dead inside and like just a mask. It became unbearable to me and I had a meltdown and I went out and I slept with my brother's friend and it was like, yeah, drinking alcohol and driving at the same time. Like it just kind of went crazy. And I got diagnosed with bipolar because of that, but I don't have bipolar. Um, anyway, but the doctor who diagnosed me was also in the cult.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that's how I left. I said, can I leave? I'm like sleeping with this guy. I don't think you want me to be working for you guys anymore.
Right. And was it
And
easy to
so
get out?
they allowed me to leave it. They allowed me to leave after that. So I technically left in good standing, like the good cult girl that I was, you know. I did
Okay.
it in the right order. Yeah.
That
So,
sounds that sounds is that easy to do? Is that easy to leave?
I mean, okay, on one hand it is, you know, it's definitely an opt-in cult, except I was raised in it, so it's not that simple. You know, that's literally my whole life.
Mhm.
So, emotionally, psychologically, it was excruciating. But I was in so much pain at the time, you know. I had to do something. I was at the breaking point. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
their narratives weren't enough to help you with any of
Right.
that. Yeah.
They were just barely even becoming accepting of the mental health narrative at all. Like growing up, that wasn't a thing, you know.
Mhm.
It was for quacks and like losers, basically.
It's like being in the military,
Mhm.
it sounds like.
Yeah, very much. And actually, yeah, that's the relationship I have with my family now as a sex worker. My parents are still in the cult. It's kind of don't ask, don't tell. So,
Yeah.
which I actually kind of appreciate because to me, that's them respecting my agency without wanting to know too many details, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So you left. So you got lucky, right? Or is that fair to say?
yeah, because
Yeah.
I wasn't too tied into. I didn't. Yeah, I'm lucky because I didn't get married in the cult for one thing. That was like hugely lucky. I couldn't stand it at that point, and like seeing my friends who got married, like, and how miserable they are, and like, and the whole set of teachings that I hear whispers from people who have like gone on to get married and then left, like the teachings that I wasn't subject to as a single woman, you know. Because yeah, anyway,
Yeah.
I hear it's very hard for married women. Mhm. So I do feel lucky. I would have been so miserable.
Yeah.
I mean, I was miserable anyway, but
Are you attracted to Brittany Simon because she's got a cult?
well, actually, that's funny that you say that because that was one of the lessons I learned when I first joined the Discord there, because there was a very like special moment in time where there was just like this special group of people that we just kind of all bonded very quickly and strongly there. And I remember like thinking to myself like, oh my gosh, like I'm feeling the same process happening in my head that happened when I was in the cult. You know what I mean? Of like,
Mhm.
oh, how do I fit in here? Like, what are the like, you know, the appropriate things to say and act, and like, and then it made me realize like that, like a cult is only as powerful as its members, and the members make the cult. They create the cult. Yeah, they're victims, but they also, you know, create it by
Yeah.
being part of it. Yeah. So that was a
The
good lesson. It's not like that anymore. A lot of people left, and yeah, but I remember thinking that in the beginning.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I get that feeling from Discord groups, like with like different Discord friend groups. But the biggest time I ever had that feeling was going to art school.
Oh,
That felt very, very culty, especially in the point of time when I was. And I don't know, it's probably worse now. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it was art school during, like, I graduated at the end of like 2016, and there were it, a lot. Like, I was like trained, like that's why I wanted to like be a woman. It's why I like a lot of stuff was like beaten out of me. I was like made to be like more meek, and it was just very like just so much trying to fit in, and yeah, I'm yeah. When I talk about it, I'm getting a little out of breath and then like losing it.
mm.
So yeah, I got to talk about that more with my therapist.
Yeah, it sounds like really intense, high control.
Yeah. Yeah, Kilo, I'm looking at you.
I can empathize with that.
Yeah. Did you go to
Mhm.
college?
I went to community college for 4 years. I started
Oh,
out studying fine arts, actually. I wanted to go to art school. I really wonder what would have happened if I actually would have gone, but I remember not doing that because my pastoral leader, who's like my in cult therapist,
hmm.
life director, basically said that I needed to have a job that was better for becoming a wife. So
Being an
I shouldn't go to
artist is
art.
like the ideal job for being. I mean, like this, I felt like so many of like these like there'd be like some like supermodel looking women that go to art school, and I'm just thinking the whole time like, and I mean I was right. Like you just went to art school to find a guy, and you know and so much of many of these because it's mostly women, and so many most of these women like go there and then just marry off, and like they get supported by a
Hmm.
guy, and being an artist is like the perfect housewife job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Well, they were like, oh, if you go to art school, it'll be too much debt. So just go to the community college and like take art classes,
yeah.
you know? Anyway, so I did that. And then I switched to child development because, yeah, it was, I started working at a daycare, which is also a very, acceptable job for me to have.
Yeah.
But I also loved the child development classes. That was probably like the start of my like interest in psychology as well as like just human development and like meaning in general. Like learning about child development. It's like teaches you so much about yourself and you start thinking about yourself and your own childhood and that probably switching to child development classes like the good cult girl that I was actually probably was what kick-started my actual like introspective journey that
Interesting.
yeah maybe made me strong enough to actually leave and not just yeah have a meltdown and let them tell me what I needed to do to get better.
Yeah.
Although I did have like 7 deliverances as a child because
What's a
probably because I
deliverance?
was autistic, like an exorcism but like not official in the Catholic Church.
Oh wow.
The cult's version of an exorcism. Yeah. Mhm. So I didn't let them do that to me again, you know.
So when did you
I
start
actually
doing
left.
heroin? So,
Um, that was mm, maybe like a year after I got into sex work, probably. The same person who introduced me to sex work did heroin recreationally at the time,
hmm,
and I had started to smoke weed actually. The doctor that was in the cult put me on SSRIs. And I remember they made me feel so much better that I didn't know anything about addiction or drug abuse or anything. I was so sheltered. But I doubled my dose without asking him or anything. Like I was so yeah. And so it made me feel so good anyway. That it kind of got me curious about other substances. I'm like, oh my God,
hmm.
meds actually work, because I came from this bubble where like psych stuff was like, woo
Yeah,
woo,
just fix it
not
with
real.
drugs.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh, they actually work. So I started feeling really good and also just wanting to explore more. So I was like, oh, like I wonder what weed is actually like. So I started smoking weed and I loved it. Um, and then I remember like that was like right before weed was legal where I'm from. And I was like posting online about it. And one of my friends from high school saw me posting about that and decided to reach out to me again after I think this had been like 10 years after high school. And she was a friend I actually brought to my youth group and like yeah, she had like an experience with the Holy Spirit and like gave her life to the Lord and everything. Anyway, it's kind of funny because she's also my friend who's an escort and she introduced me to sex work. And we connected because I started smoking weed and I was posting on Facebook about it. So anyway, she used to drive me to donate plasma and that's how I would pay for weed. And we would commiserate about like our Tinder hookups at the time because I was like going wild at that point. Um, and so she finally was like, "Look, I'm gonna tell you something. you're basically living this lifestyle anyway, but like here's a way to make money and maybe get a little bit more fulfilled from your hookups. So she told me she had been escorting since she was 17. She had left high school early, and I never knew why. And she became an escort, which is why I laugh about her going to youth group with me and like giving her life to the Lord at that point. Anyway, so then she and I were in like a codependent relationship for years and years, and that just ended 2 years ago, actually. But she was a recreational heroin user, so I was around her. I had gotten caught with weed, so I went on probation, and I was getting tested once a month for weed. And yeah, I'd also gone to the hospital and had like my gallbladder removed, and they put me on Dilaudid at the hospital, so I felt what opiates felt like. So I put two and two together with my friend who was a recreational heroin user, and I thought, oh, this stuff gets out of my system quicker, so I can still get high while I'm on probation. So that's why I started doing.
My God.
Well, first it was opiates. It was just the pills. She would get pills before heroin, but yeah, eventually it was heroin. Mm-hmm. Yep. And now I still smoke weed, but I don't do heroin.
But yeah. you're clean off of heroin?
Mm-hmm. Yep, clean off heroin, no opiates, no Suboxone or methadone or anything, completely clean. But definitely weed addict. Not gonna lie about that.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Is it offensive that sometimes when I end my stream, I say take a dose of methadone? Is that offensive?
Not to me.
Okay.
No. No, I don't. That's not my personality. I think that kind of stuff's funny.
I wondered about that a couple times. Because I talked to Tom.
You can make dead sex worker jokes too. Those are funny too to me. So yeah.
Yeah.
But not everyone's like that.
Tom Fuller, he's on Suboxone.
Yeah. I know. I'd love to talk to him about his addiction.
He uses that as a analogy to talk about other issues, but I don't necessarily like agree. Like there's nothing wrong with him taking Suboxone. He has to do what he has to do, but
yeah, it's harm reduction, right?
Right.
But it's probably not ideal.
Then he uses that as that harm reduction thing, because I'll have an idealistic idea, and then he's like, well, I do Suboxone, so like, and he'll just use that like to undermine any idealistic point, because, well, what about just harm reduction? That's just the status quo. But I
think a lot of people are okay living there, but
yeah. Well, I'm not. I've better ideas than the status quo.
I'm with you, Smith. I am with you, man. I like that about your work, actually. You seem like drawn to this higher ideal or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel that call inside me too. I don't want to just cope. Like I cope all the fucking time. That's why I do have a weed addiction, but like I fucking don't want to, you know? I really don't. Yeah. I don't want to.
I do weed sometimes. I take edibles sometimes. And I feel like it can be fun, but a lot of times like you just do it and then eat and sleep. You know what I mean? And it's like so like if you're gonna like do weed and play a video game or something, that's like a different experience than just doing it and
watch an anime.
Yeah. That's like why don't I do that? Like if I do weed, why the fuck would I do just like eat or sleep or something? Like if at least do something fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like for me it's just like it's like a little vacation for my nervous system.
Yeah.
And that's like with the autism or the trauma or whatever it is, both of them are nervous system issues. So I think that's why I think I like weed so much, and I always have. And it has the least consequences in my mind. Way less even than my SSRIs. But I haven't been on those in a while either, so I'm off all meds. I just smoke weed and take supplements. But, yeah.
I just picked this thing up and I just dropped it. What kind of supplements? You talking about like vitamins?
Yeah, like magnesium and fish oil and shit.
Yeah.
But I need them. Like I find that they really do impact my sanity level. So magnesium, fish oil, B12, D3.
What's wrong with sleep? I'm just saying, like, weed can make like playing a video game or watching a TV show like more like exciting or fun or something, but like so that's like the fun thing about weed, but like sleeping's like if you do weed for like a couple days and then you stop, you'll have a way more vivid dream. It actually I think is making your sleep less fun. Like
Yes,
so
I was gonna say that. You don't dream when you smoke a ton of weed like I do.
yeah.
And that's not good for your brain. Like so much shit happens when you dream, like really healthy stuff for your brain.
Yeah.
So it's like I really do want to get off of weed eventually, or at least reduce my use, because yeah, I think it is a cope. But
It is the ultimate cope.
mhm. Like I
Yeah.
think it does. Like okay, if you're in a lot of pain, if it's emotional pain or physical pain, weed can like help elevate you. But then it can keep you there
Yeah.
and
And
keep you from going.
you need to experience the pain.
Yes, you do. Yes, that's why I wanted to get off my like SSRIs too. I needed to like release the stored up, you know what I mean? I need to like let it go, feel it so it can pass through me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's like getting bitten by a toxic snake that won't kill you, but you have but like then there's like a cure that just makes it so you this it freezes the poison, but it doesn't make the poison go away.
Yeah.
And you're still waiting, like you keep taking the pill to hold off
Oh
on the
yeah, that's a
poison,
good
but you have to
analogy.
just go through a fucking convulsion, you know?
Detox. Same with detoxing of drugs too. Yeah.
Yeah, now you're
And
gonna have two things to detox off of.
nothing against nothing against Suboxone, but like if you want to get off of it, you just have to go fucking through that fucking agony. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Weed cream, that helped me so much. Oh my gosh. The worst symptom of heroin detox is the akathisia, which is like uncontrollable shaking. Oh, yeah. THC cream helped with that.
I think a lot of people are in cults that we don't really recognize.
Mm.
Like families, like having a helicopter parent is like being in a really big cult.
Yeah, that's true. The enmeshment, that
Yes,
enmeshment.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
and
I think it's the same machinery. That's why we like cults, because it's like it's a maladaptation on our attachment needs.
yeah. Also, even bigger than that, like internet communities, like TikTok, even just the platforms themselves and how they feedback, and like the way that if I do this, I get this kind of attention. If I do this, I get this kind of attention. We get enmeshed. I think we get enmeshed with like the worst kind of thing, which isn't even connected to people. You know, there is no
Yeah.
like with the cult of a internet platform, there is no getting out.
Honestly, that is what scares me about like even tiny dipping my toes tiny in this, like I see that, you
Yeah,
know. It to me, okay, there's this the perennial problem is that the things that make us adaptive also make us like profoundly, profoundly, profoundly self-deceptive. And that's true across the board, like with everything. And I see that with the internet, like big time. Like it's very adaptive. It's an incredibly powerful tool for humans, and it causes a lot of suffering and self-deception.
yeah,
And it's the same with cults. Cults are also adaptive. Families, attachment, that's all adaptive strategies. Strategies that open us up for profound maladaptivity and self-deception.
I feel like I'm an internet fascist. Like I'm not a fascist if it comes to real life because I believe like people have certain rights and stuff, but the internet is a tool, and I think that we are letting people do it whatever they want with it, and it's being used in very like I definitely know that Brittany doesn't
Mm.
agree with me in this.
I
Like
was gonna say this is back to that Mr. Girl thing with Destiny, right?
I
Kind
was
of.
gonna talk about like Brittany. Like I had I disagree with her briefly about like OnlyFans and stuff.
Hmm.
Just like briefly, but I think that what they should do, like she says that she uses OnlyFans and like her particular OnlyFans audience is like very different from a lot of other audiences, and the way that she uses it and engages with it isn't like the predatory ways that we were talking about otherwise.
Hmm.
But I think that it's like it's built to do these like messed up things, and I think that like if you did things like you didn't have direct messages with like the fans and stuff, or like the other, it would there's just I think a lot about it that is we shouldn't let
Hmm.
people just do
Yeah,
whatever.
it does require so much nuance, I think, because, and I'm not just saying that to sound like, because I, anyway, um, because I think there are people who are going to take advantage. It's the same pattern that I was just talking about, that things that makes adaptive and things that are maladaptive. Like, there are healthy ways to do things and good ways to do things, and then people take our desires for that and they take advantage of them,
Okay.
you know?
Yeah,
Anyway,
but
yeah.
that's okay. Now I've got a better example. Like, so I
Yeah.
yes, I agree, but it's only that's only true within the framework that we currently have. But
Mm.
like I did some thinking about the Twitch scandal with artistic nudity. They briefly allowed artistic nudity, and then there was a ton of people, like especially furries, drawing like big dicks and stuff, and which is like hilarious. Um,
Yeah.
and no matter what, like now, like even after that, now there's like people with like censor bars like over themselves instead of just being out of shot. Now they're using censor bars, and that makes it even more sexual. Like to put a censor
Hmm.
bar, it's more sexual than just being
I
naked, you
love
know.
that kind of commentary. Love it. Like, we're so much more, yeah, like,
But
yeah.
but the way
Nakedness is, yeah.
but the way I see it though, it's it doesn't matter. Like allowing artistic nudity on Twitch is so stupid, and I don't understand how they could possibly have like come to that conclusion, because the real problem, because like you said, people will always like use like these things to like to bad means and stuff. The real
Hmm.
problem isn't the explicit word of the law or the word of the TOS. The real
Hmm.
problem is people having um a predatory relationship with their fans. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
if you, because you don't want your kids to have like this like weird, like you can only allow artistic nudity on a platform where there are supposed to be boundaries between the creator and the fans, or the streamer and the people watching. If there's no rules or any thought or any narrative about how the boundaries should be put up, like what is healthy and what is not, then you're going to have people exploiting people and doing all these crazy things. um,
You
that's what
are,
you have
yeah.
to talk about, like not the
You're
explicit
also
rules.
talking to, yeah, I'm not a rule follower, like at all, like I'm an in-person sex worker in America. Um, so because of that, I hear what you're saying. I do. I really do. And that, you're right. Like, I think you are like very right. And because of that, I think, uh, I do like, this is a something I think about, like personally for myself. I am not like completely at peace with my sex work. Like on one hand, like I really value it and I love it, and it's for me been one of those things. Like, I'm one of those people who like feels more, I don't know if empowered is the right word, but like I do well in the bubble. Like, I figured out how to do well in the bubble, and I'm grateful for it because of a lot of things. But I mean, I don't want to strip the truth of the matter either, what's actually happening when I engage in it. And there's a lot of things about it that really bother me, that probably, most of my clients are probably married men, for one thing. I don't want to deny that. That bothers me. Uh, there are men who want to be lied to. They want to be lied to. And yeah, I think because of the way sometimes our brains work, and I don't know how to say this to actually get the point across that doesn't make it sound like a cope, because like I struggle with this, but it seems to be that there's a not I'm not saying sex work is therapy, but it can be therapeutic
No, I agree.
for people.
It's very close to therapy.
Yeah, and it gives access to a specific type of person that therapy, for whatever fucking reason, speaking from a demand avoidant, therapy can be a demand, and so it like innately not work because of the hierarchical structure of it. When you do therapeutic stuff with someone who's not an official therapist, sometimes it's access for certain types of people.
Yeah.
But because of that, it requires so much fucking responsibility on my part,
No, I literally have said the same thing.
Anybody can do it though, because there's no, you know what I mean? And it's because of that, like, predators flock to it.
Yes. Not only that,
on both sides.
On both sides, it puts you and the other person, at risk. Yes.
Yes.
I think that we should. I've said this before. I think that we should have like a college for like sex workers, and like similar training to therapists.
Yeah.
It would make it way less.
What would that look like?
People get pissed about this opinion because it makes it less accessible, which people like about it. I don't care. Okay, I don't even care.
Okay. But see, that's the thing. It doesn't make it less accessible. It just further pushes the people on the fringes, like, further to the fringes. That's all. It doesn't, but it'll still be the same accessible.
Like what?
Anyone can do it. You just have to be aware of the consequences.
Yeah, aware of how, like, just like a therapist can get like deeply fucked up. They can get like whatever, like there's this form of PTSD by absorbing other people's like stories and stuff like that.
Bet.
Just a sex worker too, I'm sure. You're absorbing everybody's sexual trauma.
Absolutely. Yep, that's a lot. Yep. I have a couple clients who are very emotionally involved, but they also pay me for it. So
yeah,
there is that. And that's, but I'm also very honest with them. And so I like reframe the relationship we have with money, because I don't want to pretend that it's not important, because our relationship wouldn't exist without the money.
Just like therapy.
So yeah, exactly. So I tell them, like, we honor the money in this relationship because it's what affords the relationship. We don't hate it. We honor it because it affords this to happen.
Just therapy is a therapist is a relationship that you have because of the money, but you can depend on it because of the money. So know that you don't have to be caretaking your therapist because you're paying them, and that's the part that you do. It
affords freedom. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. You get it. Yep. Mm-hmm. And so if people can't really understand that, then I probably won't take them on as that kind of a client.
Cool.
So, yeah. But not everyone's like that. And I've been attached by name to people who scam, pretend to be in love with people, all that. Not anymore, but I have been in the past.
That's what Twitch women that are Twitch streamers especially do a lot. And it's not, and so like, I am blaming them, but also like, it's what we train them to do. Like it's what we don't respect them. We don't respect them.
The relationship goes both ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
They can't do anything else, but also then they like, I hate this dynamic. There's so many women Twitch streamers. They have this relationship with their fans where they treat their fans like it's a one big happy family, except you can't say anything that makes me uncomfortable. And but like I can say things that like it's like, but I'm like your mom, but also I'm like a really bad mom. And it's like not acknowledging what you were talking about of the transactionality of it too. Because it's absolutely there. Like I have actually, I've got a friend group that I met through one of them in the group was streaming on Twitch. He only ever had a maximum of 5 viewers and then eventually stopped, and then we're all still friends. And once in a while, like one of these like people will stream or like we'll watch like a movie together, but the point of the stream was never to make money. It was literally to make friends, and that was over.
Yes. I love that energy. That's what
different.
I want. Yeah.
That's different though if it's you just continue that energy forever and you do want to make money, and then you cope and you make yourself think, oh no, we're all friends here, but really it's not like that.
It's not the same. Yeah, you have to have certain boundaries.
You can't have like 80 people watching you and be like, oh, we're all best friends, it's like, no, like I'm 1/80th of
Yeah.
a friend to you. That's what, yeah, it's what's happening here.
Yeah. Well, and the internet just blurs those lines anyway, like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to meet people in real life if I start to feel like I want to be their friend online, for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's one thing I miss from the cult is like so involved, like my whole life. I had built-in friends, built-in community, built-in meaning.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that, but for some reason it felt like it connected to what we were talking about. And then I went on an ADHD moment and blanked. So I don't know what
Well,
connection I was
I
trying to
mean,
make.
ADHD is one framework you could use, but
Mm,
you
exactly.
blanking when I blank, because I have ADHD too. But when I
It could be
blank,
trauma.
I have a lot of, I put a lot of thought into when I blank, because I blanked earlier in the conversation,
Interesting.
and I was like, I'm I'm noticing that this is
Yeah.
a point, and I'm getting like worked. I'm losing my ability to think. I'm stopping myself. So
What's
maybe this
happening
isn't the
there?
moment to have
Yeah.
that conversation. It's like live
Yeah.
on a stream or something, or maybe it
Maybe.
is, but but
Who
like,
knows?
but
That's part of the unmasking masking process, I feel like, what you're talking about right now. Like
yeah,
recognizing like how you actually like feel in your body when you're having certain behaviors, when you're doing something. Like, oh, what
yeah.
does it feel like? And
So
then like going from there
when yeah,
as far as like
so
how I act.
when I had that thought, I don't remember what it was about. So, but I had the thought. I remember reanalyzing it, thinking about where my eyes were pacing, how about my face felt, and I was looking up this way, so I wasn't looking down. So it wasn't because of shame. I'm very certain that when I'm having feelings of shame, I start going like this.
Yes.
Um,
Hmm.
so it wasn't that. It's just something I wasn't able to think about. I'm also very hectic right now too, and all the sugar from all of
Mm-hmm.
the
Christmas.
Christmas sugar.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got this.
Same.
I got this. So this was wrapped. This was wrapped. And it was like a lollipop. And
Oh, nice.
it looked like a big lollipop, but it was a lie. It's just got like a bunch of little shitty ones in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
boo. How fun. Did you have a good holiday?
Uh, yeah.
Are you a
Yeah.
Christmas liker or not liker?
Um, I am a Christmas lover and a Christmas hater.
Yeah, fair.
Because I don't, I think I love Christmas, but I don't like families. Um,
Hmm.
Brittany Simon is very much about like you should understand your parents and stuff, but I'm like
Ah.
I feel like your parents are like, yeah, they are people and they had parents and they are their own trauma and everything, but
Hmm.
um that's not important for you, and I feel like they
Have to
have
individuate
they
yourself from your
you
parents.
have to
I think
give
more
they
importantly.
you
Yeah.
have to give yourself one gift, is to not parentify yourself with your parents, and to be analyzing them on that level is you parentifying yourself, so you just have to
Hmm.
kind of actually scapegoat them a little bit, but
Hmm.
but it's okay to recognize that it's that, but still like you have to do it a little bit, I think, so to offload that off of you, because you can't carry their burdens with you.
Yeah.
You can you want to give them back their own burden. If your parent puts their burdens on you and parentifies you, you want to give it back, and that's what I think you have to do.
Hmm. You can only carry that for so long.
Right.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Mhm.
with Christmas, I feel like a lot of parents make it about themselves, and they are very there's like so many videos of people like pranking their kids and shit. I just saw one.
Oh, I hate that.
The
Yeah. That's
Grinch ones are
so.
a little bit funny. The ones I've seen, like, I think the kids think it's fun.
Mhm. If the
Most of the
kids
time,
are fine with
yeah.
it.
Usually they're like it's a video like someone getting like a friend to dress up as the Grinch and come in with in there and like start taking presents, and the kids are freaking out and punching them. But I think the kids are on it, like they're kind of having fun too. But
Hmm.
I saw one where like it was like, this is, use this trick to keep your kids in line, and he's like, I wrap some fake presents and put them under the tree, and then when your kids misbehave, throw them in the fire, He's like, you better watch this, and he takes the kid's present and he throws it, and the kids keep flicks
Drama.
yeah, like no, seriously, what the and like so the one that
Oh.
he was doing that to like had left the room. He's like, you better watch this, you better watch, and the kid takes a peek and he throws it in, and then his sister was the one watching the whole time, and she's just like, she like melted down. She didn't know how to handle watching her dad throw her like brother's present
That's
in
an
the fire.
intense moment. That's
Yeah,
so.
and then after that, the punchline, I'm laughing, but it's kind
And
of
then
it's
putting
kind
it
of horror. It's kind
online.
of a horror response, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's like
also
you can't. You have to laugh.
it's
Yeah,
actually
to regulate
it's
your nervous
actually
system.
also funny, but that's why laughing is a
Yeah.
release.
Yeah. Mhm.
But
Yep. It's funny.
the punchline
Yeah,
was then she was vacuuming in a room, and it's like see, it works. Like you get them to yeah. And she was like 4.
that was my childhood, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like behaviorally manipulate your children into submission. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel yeah.
But
So
any means necessary. Yeah.
we're all in cults to some extent, but some cults are more cult because
Yeah.
like your
It's like a
parents,
bubble,
your
right?
parents are
You're
always
talking about bubbles, aren't you?
I guess if you want to use that word, but like
Yeah. Okay, we'll use the word cult. Yeah.
shh. So what
But
different?
it's the same idea.
But like yeah, but I feel like a bubble is not has less like a cult implies a lot more coercion and like
Yeah.
force behind it.
It's a specific type of bubble.
It's a
yeah.
it's a bubble with spikes.
Toxic bubble. Yeah.
It's toxic.
Have you heard
It's
of the bite model for
I have, but I don't remember it.
yeah. Where is my internet? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. There's like just all these different tenets of like high control environments.
How to define a cult, right?
Behavior, information, thought, and emotional control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like most
Yeah.
parents are doing those all.
Yeah, literally, yeah. That's probably why people are vulnerable to cults again, because they're looking for that parent. Like
Especially
it's so
people who are
hard.
abused.
It's so hard to think about being self-actualized. You know how much fucking work that is? You know how much weight that is on your like tiny little human little shoulders that are
Yeah.
gonna die, mortal shoulders.
And there's so little of it being modeled everywhere, and then as soon as you think that you've found somebody, like then now you're sucked into enmeshed and you're not actualizing anymore.
Mhm.
You're just
Yeah.
attaching yourself to someone else's like rocket, right?
Yes. That's okay. That's the thing. I think, okay, so there's like a spectrum of like, that's like an attachment, right? And then the other end of the spectrum is like love, though, right? So it's like the healthy manifestation of that adaptive tendency. It would be like something like love, right? You get into this feedback loop with somebody and like you open and then someone sees you're opening and then they're able to open more and then back and forth into you're just this huge thing, you love each other. And then on the other end, the attachment, it's also a feedback loop, but it's like addiction. It's a narrowing feedback loop. Like you're making each other's world smaller, you shut off or someone senses something from you and then they go into their trauma and then you go into your trauma and this like narrowing little feedback loop
Love
of like
chases like so when you love someone, you chase them down into their own trauma. That's what I feel like like when you love someone, you're like you come with all this baggage and I'm gonna help you with that, and you know what I mean.
Yes, you can help mend and reseam the hems that are torn apart from our trauma before by mimicking that pattern and then reacting in love instead of in the damaging way. That's like, yeah, there's a therapy called imago therapy, which is couples therapy. And that's their whole like philosophy, basically, that you can actually, if you guys trigger each other, that's actually that means you can actually heal each other. You have the potential.
This is a really important and really hard distinction to make, and I've come to this conflict a couple times. So I need like let's like, how do you distinguish between that love and toxic attachment? Like
and can you turn the toxic attachment into love?
Because I don't know about that. I don't even know about that, but maybe probably, but the toxic attachment might also take on the other person's trauma, but it's not because you want to care about the other person and help them because you feel like you can help them. It's because they're like glorious or something, right?
Yeah, it's like codependent. It's a like
Yes,
they're
codependence.
somehow like giving you something outside yourself that you're looking for. Yeah.
When I was a teenager, oh my god, and I'm proud of this. Is one of the things I'm proud of, like these very like honest like things I would say. But I remember like saying like to my friends like I'm trying to get more fucked up, and I was very aware of this like because I was a sheltered only child too, and I was very attracted to like all the, like the bad kids and shit, but I just felt like I'm like I need more trauma. I need to be like I need like bad shit to happen to me. Like, and yeah,
It's
that's
such a like
different. That
youthful thing.
yeah, it
I
is.
love it. It's so like angsty almost, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. um, but
Humans do that a lot though. We love our suffering. It's like delicious to us.
yeah,
Hmm.
I don't want to be pretending to be angsty. I want to actually be be angsty. So
Yeah. Well, that is like, think about it. Like, that is a good feeling. I love that feeling. That is different than the like void I felt when I want to kill myself. Angst is like life, you know?
yeah,
You're like teeming with life when you're angsty, you know?
yeah, and you're
Yeah.
like really
It's not a
being
negative feeling.
angsty is also tends to be really creative. You know,
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because
and
you got to do something with it. You got to,
it's
yeah.
creative in a way where you have like the because I was talking about last night like another very hard distinction because there's so many of these very hard distinctions narratively. That's what I think psychology is drawing these distinctions.
Mm,
A very hard distinction narratively. We culturally kind of do it, but it's to do it really specifically the difference between creativity and psychosis. And in a like there is like really good evidence to suggest they're on the same exact spectrum. Like
mm.
creativity and being like in a state of psychosis. And I
I
feel like
believe it.
when you're
As an
angsty,
artist.
though, it is a you have like the right boundaries, you know?
Mm,
You're not connected. You want to get it out, you know? You don't live in it. You want to get it out. Yeah. So,
yeah. Yeah, there is a like a movement to the angst.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I love that feeling to me. It's almost like you're in a flow with the suffering or something.
The worst cult is work.
Another reason I love sex work, independent sex
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And one of the things that makes it very difficult to think about leaving, as especially as an autistic a human, the 9 to 5. Well, I think for all humans are autistic under the 9 to 5 kind of grind, capitalistic grind set.
Well, I feel bad, like, because like either you don't fit into it and you have to pretend and it kills your soul, or you're super naive and bright-eyed and you go into it and you, like,
And it kills your
I
soul.
know a kid like this, like where I went to school, there was a lot of Indian kids, and like with helicopter parents, that kind of thing. So he was like really smart and like very promising like young guy, and he was like really cute because he like was so small, but so that's why like it seems even worse for this for some reason. But and then like I remember like looking with my friends at like his like LinkedIn page and stuff, and he's like talking about how like passionate he was, and he was indoctrinated by some tech company like into whatever stupid thing that they were thinking, and he could have had a way more big career, you know, but like he got
Mm.
sucked into some stupid thing that probably didn't even work out, but he just really like fell for their whole. And that's what I feel like just like being even in retail, like the people that get sucked into that are really sad, like that believe that it's all like a family and that their like
Oh
fucking
yeah.
application program is like or their what was it
Similar to like MLMs almost.
yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
they just believe like when you watch the training videos and shit, and they believe all that. You know, you do put in the work, and you know,
Hmm.
and it's
That was
just
me. That was totally me. Yeah.
yeah,
When I worked in childcare. Hmm.
yeah, and those people. And so there's somebody that at my workplace. I think I was complaining about them last night, but they aren't actually sucked into it, but it's so I would diagnose this person with my professional and all of my professional 100% clinical muster as an absolute narcissist. Okay.
Okay.
um
Hmm.
Okay, but I'm
I'm
not a
getting a
professional.
picture.
I'm not but like
Right, right.
she's really good
I
at
know what you mean, though.
she's
She's
good
got a lot of the traits.
she's
Right?
really good at talking to customers because she needs needs narcissistic supply.
Oh, they're her
She always
supply.
makes everything about her. So
I can see how, yeah, a salesman job would be perfect for a narcissist.
yeah.
Yeah,
But she's not
in a
smart.
way.
She's not smart. She's just incredibly like it's like she's in a complete state of terror at all times and she needs more supply. Like she's a narcissist with she is no fucking cool. She's no
Oh.
chill. She like it's I don't give her any response and that makes her try to do even harder. Like it's um
Oh
but
yeah, I bet that drives her
she's not
crazy.
actually sucked in. She's not actually sucked into the cult. She acts like she does, and she will. So if I do something wrong in the workplace, I'll go like I'm supposed to do something here, but I'll go to help a customer there, and I know I'm not supposed to, but I'm just doing like okay, in this moment I'm gonna do that. It's my judgment. And then she'll be like, oh, and then I heard her, but I'm not gonna respond. I'm just like, it's just, I know what you're doing. You're doing this because you want to like, get some leverage over me. Cause you break these fucking rules all the time. And you don't care. It's just because, and so you don't actually believe in this cult shit. You just want to like act like I should because you want me to give you supply. So then I go
She's
do it.
Machiavellian.
Yes. And so, yeah, but she's also not dumb. I mean, she also is dumb. She's
Is
not
dumb.
because
So
if
she's
she
not
was
good at it.
because if she was actually smart, she wouldn't be in
Oh,
this.
that's just gross.
Yeah, it's just it's so uncomfortable. And
You kind of like admire the person who's really good at like Machiavellianism, like
yes,
slightly, you know?
yes.
But if they're bad at it, it's just like, ugh.
But she's Machiavellian just for because this is why it's like I say like absolutely a narcissist because she's Machiavellian. But the only thing she needs is that supply, and she needs it so much that it's completely crippling. It's very sad. It like truly like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
And you can kind of see how it is like narcissism is kind of an adaptive strategy in a very toxic environment.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's
like when the toxic environment breeds these kinds of people.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So at the end of that story, I went out to help the customer, and then I came back, and then she's like, "Oh, just so you know, the reason that I stopped working over here and I came over here where you were supposed to be is because you're not supposed to do that." And I'm like, anyway, I finished it. I have not been so enraged by someone in so long.
Yeah, that sounds like the way you describe it. Like that sounds like one of my least favorite types of people. It's like you're not even good at
million spiders crawling down my back is the shivers that gave me because I know that she doesn't believe in the shit that she was saying. She was just doing it to get a reaction to make me coalesce to her in any way whatsoever. And this was one lever that she could pull. And so it's just the fact that she's doing that just for her own. Because if she actually believed in that and she was actually just like a perfect little goody two shoes like worker, like that's different. That's like okay,
you're just a pawn.
I understand. I understand. No. Like not that I wouldn't. It's not that they're a pawn. It's just that okay, you actually believe this. You actually believe that everybody in the workplace has to do like all perfectly everything, and they say in the training videos like 100%, and that's what you believe. But she doesn't even fucking believe that.
She doesn't believe it.
Yeah, it's just anything. I hate it.
Oh yeah.
And all the other coworkers. They like it when I do this because they will get trapped by her and then she'll like trap them into conversations all about her and how much everything. So like one day it was downpouring and it was like actually kind of like beautiful in this little like area. Like there's the doors and there's another door and there's like a little glass area. And so a couple of coworkers kept stepping out there because it's like, wow, it's so, and then she like would catch them, intercept them, and make it about her, and not give them that moment. And just like they just wanted to have this fucking moment, and you ruined it. And and it's like
emotional
and
vampire.
then I'll shut her down. Like she like one of my coworkers were talking about moving departments. I'm okay. You're my therapist right now. That's what's.
I'm good at this.
Whatever. So one of my coworkers was talking about moving. It's just also entertaining if I'm. Anyway,
it is.
One of my coworkers was talking about moving departments. And he's like good. He was like a level above me or whatever. And I appreciate him. He's good at his thing. He's good at what he does. But he's changing departments because they didn't like him. They wanted someone that was more of like a pawn because he was like very like understanding and everything. And he's like moving to another department. And she's like, oh, that department sucks. Like I would never want to do that because she's just like it's not that it sucks. Like he was actually excited about it, and she was just went on a whole conversation about how she hates it, and like she would feel so bad about that. But he was actually excited about this change. It would have been it's gonna change his life in a way that he's liking. And then later, then she started having the exact opposite about how she likes that department and she wants to start doing that. And I was like, she started sucking a bunch of people into that conversation. I was like, didn't a moment ago you said you hated it? I just totally shut her down. And she ignored it, but like it gave some of my coworkers opportunity to disengage. So
Oh, that would drive me crazy. People who seem like so inauthentic like that are like very unpleasant for me to be around. And now it makes me wonder if it's like a neurodivergent thing. But
it is. Well,
yeah.
narcissism, as I'm defining it here, is a disassociative thing. So
Hmm.
you need other people because you have no connection with yourself. Because in
Hmm.
any moment where there's silence and nobody is giving you the supply, you feel completely like you're gone. There's nothing
Like
there.
panicked. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's why I love this shit. This like I used to hate this diagnosing people as narcissists and shit. I used to hate it, but now I
Well, you're not
understand.
diagnosing them. You're
I
just understanding them through a lens.
I did say that, but I did say that sorry like self-deprecatingly, yeah, but it's
Okay. Yeah.
it's it's
Yeah.
it's a lens, it's a narrative lens to
Hmm.
understand psychology. Yeah.
Yeah. It's helpful, I think. That's how that's how we make meaning on the world. We like see patterns and we define them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense to me. Yeah, and the narcissism lens is so interesting, especially because I do think like the society we live in kind of
Yes.
breeds them. So
Yes.
we're seeing them more and more, or at least the traits. We see that pattern a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But then that also gets, you know, me thinking because there's a lot of times where I think like sometimes because I'm also like very I don't know if empathic is the right word because I think that word is kind of misunderstood, empathy.
Yeah.
But
There's a
I really want to like see from people's perspective. I
there's
like
a
trying at
yeah,
least.
it's good that you say because there's a big correlation between like you have to have so much humility when you talk about empathy because there's such a
Yeah.
strong correlation between people that use the word empath and
Oh
narcissists.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. True. Oh, true. Absolutely. Well, and they might be doing some of the same things, you know. And some of them there
Yeah.
probably is overlap. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so like I want to like understand things from people's perspective, even though I also am aware that like we're subjective creatures, you know, that are kind of we can only, you know, observe the objective from our subjective perspective, and we're kind of trapped there. So like I can only have empathy, like I can't feel someone else's literal feelings.
Empathy
But I
is
wanted,
projection.
yes, yeah, it is. It's the mirror neurons and all that. Yeah, yeah. But I really do want to understand people. And I also think that is kind of a little bit what love is. When you like really are attempting to like take on the like actual identity of someone else in a participatory way. Like
Yes.
we're so limited. We can't do that with everybody, right? We can only do that like so much because it takes a lot of effort, I think, you know.
Yeah,
But
this is okay.
yeah,
I just figured out one of those
yeah.
lines. So because another thing I talked about in my last stream, another narrative that has really been helpful to me is thinking about introjects and the different voices. An introject is one of the voices you have in your head. And when you
Okay.
become like, so if you listen to Brittany Simon a lot, you have a Brittany Simon interject. I have a Brittany
Mhm.
Simon
Yes.
interject. Yeah. Okay. So you
Okay.
sometimes you're like, you call on that. You're like, okay, well, I know she would probably have something to say about this. And you use that. And that's healthy
We
when we do that.
internalize the stage. Yeah.
I think that when you love somebody, you are creating an interject of them, but you
Hmm.
also it's not you want them to you're creating an interject of them so that you can talk to it, not so it can talk to you, right? So like because so say like
Oh, interesting. So
so
what does it mean when you want to actually have a dialogue with that? What is that?
well, it's more complicated, but I'm just saying to some degree because
Okay.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you if your idea of someone else is completely defined by what they tell you about themselves, then you are just doing that attachment thing. But if your idea of someone else is like, I think about you differently than you think about yourself, that's like I'm actually caring about
Mm-hmm.
you. I'm not just what you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually like looking.
Oh yeah, this is so complicated for me. Yeah, yeah. I think about this all the fucking. It's like a problem for me.
Yeah.
It is. Yes, because like it really sometimes is very upsetting to me when somebody has a view of me that I don't feel is authentic to what I believe about myself. It feels very upsetting, you know? But at the same time, sometimes it feels like I can see very real patterns in other people that they can't see. And we know that we all have our blind spots. You know, that's part of what it means to be a perspective individual. Like we can't observe, you know, we can't observe it. We can't really see ourselves. We can see reflection of ourselves, you know. We have a natural innate blind spot. And I know that, and I think we have that psychologically and experientially and everything. So it's like I know that other people can see parts of me that I can't see, but like I have to like participate in that. You know, I can't just be somebody that I don't know, that doesn't feel, I don't know, feel
I
safe, you know,
I
something
feel
like that.
yeah,
I have to really trust you to like believe your assessment of me that
well, you
differs
don't
from
have to
mine,
believe like so
you
this is a
know?
conflict that I have a lot. This is why
Okay.
I probably relate to Mr. Girl a lot. Is
Hmm.
because he's similar to me in a very rare way. Okay, but like me and him are capable, or not capable. We're comfortable with being uncomfortable with other people thinking different things about us. But I
Hmm.
mean, but like it's still traumatic. It can be traumatic. It's like in tons of different ways.
Yeah, I
But
guess it depends on who it is, but yeah,
yeah, it's sort of. Um,
for me, yeah, yeah.
what
I don't think
but
I'm
that's
like
not
you
what
guys.
the specific thing. The specific
Yeah,
thing is wanting other people to be comfortable with I want other people to be comfortable, especially intimate partners, with me having
yeah,
a different opinion about them than they have about
yeah.
themselves. And that
Hmm.
is
Well, I see the wisdom in that also. So that's the thing. Like I do see the wisdom in that. Like the part of the reason that I like humans need other like really when you are in a loving relationship with somebody else, it does allow you to start seeing those things about yourself and you see through their eyes, so you can see yourself in a whole different way, right? So like it is really
yeah.
valuable.
I do
But
I
yeah,
have to leave
naturally my
soon.
ego. Oh, sorry. Yep. Mhm.
I have work at 5, and I have to
Oh,
probably
okay.
leave. I know in a little bit. So
Okay.
I just want to let you. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't.
thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, I should have let you know
Oh, you're
sooner.
good.
But
No, that's okay. You're good.
all right,
Um, my
sorry.
mom, like, she's a ADHD person, and like, I'll be talking on the phone, and I just know sometimes, and even I'll be in the middle of like a really deep conversation, like, oh, gotta
Yeah,
go, love you, bye.
yeah.
Okay. Used
I
to it.
unfortunately I asked for when I got this job to like get a lot of mornings, but now I'm gonna have a bunch of fucking short 4 hour shifts from till
Oh, that's
closing
annoying.
at
Yeah,
night. And I don't
that's
want like
annoying.
so I want to be doing the streaming stuff. So this time of day is probably I'll have a couple more streams about that.
Hmm.
Someone said, but how do you know when what you're thinking is fictional? So that's the thing.
That's the
You have to be.
question.
That's the
That's the
important. That's the
question.
important thing for the person. So let's say that I'm telling you I think something about you that you don't think about yourself. I have to have humility in that, and where like you have to trust me to know that
Yes.
my thought is subjective and not a fact for sure. I know that my
Yeah.
opinion about you is different from your own, and I'm not. I know like I have to be honest and with up like front about my biases, you know, and that kind of thing.
See, knowing that you know that though makes me feel like I would be okay with you having a
It still
different
could
opinion.
I really think I could
But
trigger you with it if
you probably could. No, you probably could. You absolutely probably could. But yeah. Yeah, in general when it's like it's just very uncomfortable. Or even people I know, like people like that happens with Brittany a lot. I get triggered when people have opinions about her that I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, they can't see her at all." You know, it's like not really triggered, but you know, like it's just very uncomfortable for me. You know,
yeah.
I'm just like,
I
because I
think
think
Brittany's okay
I
with it.
crave. She is. Oh yeah, she is. I
She's
crave
very cool with it. Yeah.
connection, and I mean, to a certain degree, I'm okay with it. I think, especially because of being a sex worker, there's like they write reviews and stuff about you and talk trash about you. That's just like part of the job, or part of the yeah part of the job. There's just you know people clients need to be safe, so they talk, and there's tons of different, yeah, anyway. So there's a ton of that happening. And especially just me being a sex worker, people are automatically going to have assumptions, you know, and there's the stigma to it. So I'm used to it to a certain level. I don't like pathologically be like, freak out about it, but it is uncomfortable for me. And I think it's because I crave connection. I crave the oneness, Yeah. Anyway.
I think that's why I like Brittany so much. She's like one of these people that is like in the arena of being able to tell people shit they think about themselves that they don't think about themselves. She's just fucking tell people that shit. That's why Destiny
Hmm.
hates her right now, right? And she's okay with
Yeah,
people doing
I've
that.
always found that really interesting that he does because he doesn't let just anybody get to him, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. I I just was informed that I gotta swap cars before I leave, so I might have to leave
all
a bit
right.
early. I should have
Well,
told you at the beginning of the conversation.
oh,
So
no worries. This
this
is
is
great. This is so lovely, and I'm really honored that you wanted to talk.
Yeah,
So,
you sound very thoughtful. You have a lot to say. You told me about the cult thing. You gave me this platter of very personal things that you could talk about. So
someday when I have my own channel, I'll have you on and I'll pick your brain.
okay, yeah, I'll give you a platter of the shit that I got. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Smeth.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was the stream, guys. Destiny saw his reflection and flinched. Maybe. Maybe. Everybody sees the Colonel in Destiny and like wanting to save it. um. ah. Okay. So like I said, I'm going to have some more streams where probably about this time of day, because I'm going to have a lot of these fucking closing shifts. Destiny taught you how to play Factorio. Well, there you go. So yeah, I got closing shifts coming up. For some reason, they're putting me on a lot of them. So I'm going to do some earlier in the day streams. So that concludes your nice dose of methamphetamine. Maybe you're listening while you're at work. Maybe you're going to listen to it later. Maybe you're not even here. Maybe you're not even listening, but you're still taking your methamphetamine as diagnosed. Have a good day, Smith heads.